I'm ranking each multi-class build for each class in Baldurs Gate 3, one job at a time. Welcome to the multi-class room. I'll show you the synergy each class has one by one, and then give a grading in its compatibility with honor mode, starting with Barbarian. Bards and Barbarian make a cool, fun multi-class. I suggest getting to at least level 5 with Bard so that your bardic die rolls over to a d8 and also comes back to you on short rests. What's cool with the Barbarian or Skald build is that even though you can't cast spells while you're raging, you can use your inspiration, so you get to choose whether you want to be better with support with the Valor College or more focused on damage with the Sword College. Sword College comes with a fighting style which is pretty sick. With your high charisma, you can also take advantage of arcane conditions and put that charisma spell modifier to work and add it to melee attacks with things like the Diadem or the Ring of Synergy. I mean, that's a plus 3 to 5 damage each hit. On top of that, you could use dual-wielding fighting styles and just go crazy. It's a fun way to break the monotony of, just being a Barbarian. I give it 4 Seduced Dragons out of 5. Cleric and Bards don't work super great on first glance, but there are some good options. Channel Divinity works in Rage, and you really only need to go one level of War Cleric to see really good results. War Clerics get to attack again with their bonus action as many times as they have Wisdom modifiers. And with another level into it, you could add 10 to your missed attack instead of taking Reckless. I would wear medium armor with that, so you don't have to point spread so hard to get points into your Wisdom so you actually have a modifier. And if you take Cleric to level 3, your Shammon style Barbarian can actually be extremely helpful outside of battle with Prayer of Healing, Aid, Enhance Ability. You can also prep Bless right before battle, knowing full well that you'll probably be last in initiative. You won't need the spell slot, and you might as well take the advantage when you got it. I'll give it 2.5 World of Warcraft totems out of 5. Druid spells have the same benefit as Cleric would, but Barbarians, their defo aren't we're going to be multiclassing for. Wild Shape and Rage are one of the few things that Wild Shape actually jams with. Raging before you shape, you pass your rage resistances and benefits onto your new animal, along with all the great damage bonuses. For Skinwalker, this is greatly increasing your survivability, making you insanely hard to drop. A full team of these guys could just mow down Scorch Earth the full game no problem. And now that Tavern Brawler actually works as intended for your Wild Shape, letting you double your strength bonus to your animal's natural weapons, I mean, Owlbears alone have a plus 12 to hit. Plus 14 if you use their passive. It's absolutely nasty. I love it. 4.5 Smoking the Bears out of 5. Fighter and Barbarian were made to multi-class. Every level of each one greatly benefits the commander, and each subclass offers tons of opportunity. Even Eldritch Knights. I mean, the spells don't add a whole lot, but the shield spell works while you're raging, which is pretty sick. I hope they don't patch that out. You can bond your weapon, and then you can just go Tavern Brawler Frenzy throw it constantly, letting it return to you between attacks. But Battlemaster's maneuvers that let you use control moves while you're raging and additionally add d8 to your attacks has to be probably the best. The commander can use these in Action Surge and blow up everything in their turn. Even Champion has its place, letting your crit range lower, which for a Barbarian is massive, as they do get brutal critical, letting them add additional attacks. It all stacks with Savage Attack too, which is an Orc ability, even tripling your dice. Hella raw, totally worth it, 5 Jimbros out of 5. Now, Barbarians and Monks almost go together as well as Fighters. Building a Brawler isn't just practical, it's crazy fun. First unfortunate thing though, the unarmored defenses don't stack, so whether your Constitution or your Wisdom, whichever is higher, will be the one that's added to your AC. When going the Brawler route, the Feat Tavern Brawler is an absolute must. This effectively doubles your ability mod on your kick punches, turning your fists stronger than most weapons. So in this case, your glove equipment becomes your weapons. Gloves like the Infernal Flaw gloves that'll add a d4 necrotic and force them to bleed, or the Radiant gloves. Not to mention that these are easy to get. You can find them everywhere in just about any element. Daemon gives you the Infernal ones for free. Wave the Open Fist is my best bet for the Barbarian Brawler multi-class. Being able to use control moves while you're raging and just sending people flying across the battlefield never gets old. Shadow Monk would be a fun option, but unfortunately you won't see much benefit till level 6, which is pretty hard to do when you're just trying to do a dip. Shadow Step is cool though, and does greatly increase your mobility. Monk of the 4 elements is just a bad fit though. You can't cast spells in Rage, effectively splitting your tactics between in and out of Rage, let alone you won't be low on ki from using Flurry of Blows, and Flurry of Blows is going to be way more damage than a Water Whip, no matter how cool a Water Whip is. 4 copies of the Fight Club out of 5 because of how standard Monk's skills vibe with Barbarian. Paladin's Barbarian is fantastic. Zealot Barbarians totally slap. Paladin spells can't be used, sure, whatever, but Divine Smites do not count as spells. Personally, I like to go in my reactions and set them all to ask, so every time I swing, I can choose whether I blow them up or not. Not only are Divine Smites not spells, but so is their Channel Divinities, letting you take full advantage of Paladin's best skills. The Gloves of Heroism can be found pretty early in the game, allowing you to get Temporary HP and Heroism, a spell that usually you have to concentrate for while you're raging. The Zealot Barbarian's goal is the same goal I have every time I play a Paladin. I need to crit on a Divine Smite. The Invisible Sphere, the Unseen Menace, can be purchased from the Creche, and I believe this is one of the best weapons to go crit fishing with. It attacks with advantage until you miss, and it drops your crit window down by 1. You're also able to keep your defenses up. The Channel Divinity for the Ancients does continue to heal, and you can even lay on hands, but be careful with lay on hands because if you don't do damage or get damage, you'll lose your rage. There's just a few things cooler than a Rage Brutal Divine Smite with a Zealot Barbarian. 4 Viking helmets out of 5. I've done a lot of work with Ranger and Barbarian. Rangers get a bad rap, but it's pretty useful as a subclass. The Marauder takes full advantage of the Ranger's ability to use 2-weapon fighting with the dual-wielding feat and all its resistances. Because you can't use spells, you can use things like the heat mechanics to build up heat with fire damage and push it out. Beastmaster also has its place, the wolf not being just a damage sponge, but coming with passive abilities like pack tactics. Hunters do get to add a d8 to its attacks, which is helpful, but I now tend to use Horde Breaker instead nowadays. Since your Barbarian is most likely going to rush into crowds, you might as well get a free extra hit while he's in there. Gloomstalker is one of the most Ranger subclass I've seen online, but I think it's kind of worst option for the Barbarian. The extra hit in the beginning is cool, but like I said, Horde Breaker can do the same thing on every round. Marauders are super great. Being able to rage half all the physical damage and then use the resistances from Ranger to get rid of cold, fire, or poison is super helpful. You don't have to be stuck with the bear totem. I feel like Tiger works best, letting you do additional AoE damage and inflicting bleed on people. If you do Beastmaster, you might want to take it to level 5 in Ranger. It levels up your animal to the next damage tier. A level 3 wolf is just gonna not last long. 4.5 Kronks out of 5. Rogue and Barbarians. Rogues are pretty good to multiclass with any class, honestly. Barbarians are definitely not an exception. The additional sneak attack damage is very helpful, just remember it does have to come from a finesse weapon, but because of reckless attack, you can choose anytime you want to use sneak attack, so a Huscarl executes them whenever they please. All the base rogue skills stack perfectly. The additional dashing to push you forward into combat, uncanny dodge to further lower incoming damage, even expertise to help you with conversations outside of battle. Feats get 2 bonus actions. It's fantastic. Letting you rage and close the distance in 1 turn, or use your frenzy attack right after raging. Thief is probably the best option. Honestly, it's hard to pull off any good comments about the other 2 rogue subclasses. Arcane Tricksters aren't going to give you much that'll complement the Barbarian that rogues don't have inherently, and Assassins will help you with beginning spike damage, but as you can't rage unless you're actually in a combat that started, you won't be able to take full advantage of it. But it doesn't matter. Thief is so damn good for this that it makes up for all the other bad options. It's hard not to be OP with the Huscarl. In battle or out, it's just a really good option. 4 American Psychos out of 5. Sorcerer. Sorcerer is a rough fit. You really gotta shoehorn this in there. Sorcerers do give you a lot of use with just 1 level, but a Mountain Sage can't use most of it, unfortunately. Wild Magic Surges need a spell to be cast, and it's not super smart to rely on that. Not many level 1 spells will be used in combat, really. Same with Storm, you do get a free fly, but you need to cast a spell to do so unfortunately that's probably not going to happen either. But if you pick Draconic, you can choose the White Dragon Ancestry and get the spell Armor of Agathis, letting you gain temporary hit points and doing cold damage at the same time without concentrating. It also allows you to go unarmored AC if you wanted to put more spells into Dex instead of Constitution. The spells you'll want to choose is Shield and non-concentration spells. Longstrider could be a good choice. Mirror Image is also really good. You want to use these buff spells pre-battle, but still, I'll give it 1.5 Mountain Dews out of 5. Warlock is like Sorcerer but better, for at least a Barbarian multiclass. Like Sorcerer, you get a ton of things level 1, and a lot of those things plays on my favorite mechanic in Baldurs Gate 3, Fear. The Knightmare uses Fear to halt enemies' attacks and open opportunities for themselves to do massive damage. With the Fiend, constantly KOing people keeps them alive by adding temporary hit points to themselves every time they down someone. But I think that's the worst option. Great Old Ones on critical inflict fear on the target and every target around them, letting you attack without Reckless so you don't have to face many consequences. My favorite though has to be the Fey Patron. Nightmares get an action that places fear on their enemies in your vicinity, and it's not a spell, allowing you to use it in rage. Spells will have to be set up prior, like Arm of Agathis. You can go so far as taking Warlock to level 5 and getting an extra second attack, but I feel like that's a bit of a waste unless you're really going for that roleplay. And in that case, I say go for it. Dump all your strength into Charisma, pack your weapon, and get spooky. I give it 3.5 Yoked Cthulhus out of 5. Wizards and Barbarians. Yeah, they don't really work. Of all the choices, I'd have to say this is the worst one. I'm pretty big on making classes that don't work in a multi-class situation, but this was a big stretch. But all is not lost. I did have fun. If you take your first level, grab Shield, False Life, Longstrider, and you've got something. From there, I would push it a little further, getting another level into Wizard and getting the Divination School. This allows you to roll 2 dice every morning and then replace other people's or your rolls with those dice, putting yourself in the better situation. And in the end, you've only lost 2 levels of Barbarian, getting you all the best skills Barbarians have to offer at the same time. Except now you can see the future. It's pretty handy actually. But yeah, I give it 1 Hagrids out of 5. And that was Multiclass this week. Tune in next week where we go over bards and the many ways that you can make a really cool build out of just the power of song and friendship and swords. Don't forget to subscribe so you see the next episode, and let me know in the comments what you're going to be building next.